Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I ordered a new watercolor palette from Amazon, and it arrived today from Russia. So before I can use it, I first have to prep it, and you'll see what I mean by that. It is a 36 color set made by a company called White Knights. I think the full name is St. Petersburg White Knights. And I got this set because I had seen a lot of really good reviews about it. People were commenting that it is the same quality as professional high-grade watercolors, but at a fraction of the cost. So let's see what's in it. Oh goodness. Oh, it's stuck. Ah, there we go. I was just opening it wrong. So the first thing we see is I get a nice little card, and I can't read Russian, but I'm hoping this says something nice. Set that aside. And they very nicely include a little card for me to create my palette. And here is a little tray. I think this is detachable. Yeah, it is. A detachable mixing tray to mix colors. I've got my water here ready. I've got my brushes. I'm using right now a number 8 round Escoda Prado synthetic brush and a number 6 Escoda Versatile synthetic brush. I have my pen, and I have a couple of pipettes. Okay, let's see what we have here. Oh, everything is individually wrapped. So here we have zinc white, and this actually isn't a, I guess it's more of a gouache color, and you would use the zinc white if you want to make your watercolors more opaque, or if you want to add little white highlights. But really, if you're painting in watercolor and you want something to be white, you just use the white of the paper, and you use that. You just leave a blank spot where you want the white of the paper to show through. We have cadmium lemon, cadmium yellow medium, and cadmium means that these colors are going to be a little more opaque. Yellow ochre, golden, golden deep, Hansa yellow, Titian red, ruby, cadmium red light, and I know there's a glare, but when I pull these out, it won't be so bad. English red. Try and move it so that glare isn't so bad. There we go. Quinacridone. I never know how to say that. quinacridone rose, magenta, carmine, or carmine, I think is how you're supposed to pronounce it, Madder Lake red light, and this is also known as alizarin crimson, quinacridone lilac, or red violet, violet, ultramarine, bright blue, cobalt blue, sorry, indanthrine blue, turquoise blue, indigo, cerulean blue, yellowish green, emerald green, green, olive green, chromium oxide, raw sienna, burnt sienna, umber, burnt umber, Mars brown, sepia, neutral black, and Payne's gray. So it looks like they have their arrangement going from white to the yellows, going into the reds, to the violets. Not too many violets though, they really only give me 2, but violet is easy to mix. The blues, greens, and then down here your earth tones with your toning colors, your black and your Payne's gray. You know, what I like about these right off is that they give you nice full-size pans. Let's pull this one out. So this is a full-size pan, and to show you what I mean by that, I have another palette, my older palette here that I've been using. And in this one, these are half pans, so you can see the difference. Pull this out here. And that's really generous of them. I'll show you what I did with the palette that I'm using now. I write down the name of the color in each little square. For example, on this little color sample card, I have Sennelier and Winsor & Newton artist grade watercolors. And then in each square, I put a wash of the corresponding color. And then I go back, and on one side, I paint another pass with that color so that I know what it looks like when I apply it more intensively. And using a sample swatch card helps me have a better, more accurate idea of what each color pan would look like once I put it on paper. So that's why whenever you get a watercolor pan set, it's always a good idea to create a swatch card. And that's what I have to do with my new set of watercolors. So before I start laying down swatches, first I'm going to write down the name of each color onto the my swatch card. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and create a swatch for zinc white just so I can see how opaque this zinc white is. Zinc white, and then cadmium lemon. And putting the names down first on the swatch card means that when I paint over it with the individual pans, it will help me see how transparent or how opaque the color is depending on how much of the letters it covers up. But I'll still be able to read them. Cadmium yellow medium. Cadmium, no, I did that one. Yellow ochre. Golden. Golden deep. Hansa yellow. Titian red. What's that one? Ruby. Cadmium red light. English red. What does that even mean, English red? That doesn't really tell you very much about what kind of red that is. Quinacridone rose. I'm just going to put Quin rose. Carmine. Madder Lake red light. And lake, when you see the word lake when it's in a description of a pigment, that is really the method they used to derive that color. Madder Lake, red light, quinacridone lilac, violet, ultramarine, bright blue, cobalt blue, indanthrene blue. That's a smoky blue color. Indanthrene blue. Turquoise blue. Turquoise. Indigo. Cerulean blue. That one makes a nice sky color. Yellowish green. Emerald green. Green. Olive green. Chromium oxide. Chromium. Raw sienna. Burnt sienna. Umber. Burnt umber. Mars brown, sepia or sepia, neutral black, and finally Payne's gray. Is that an apostrophe? Yes. Yes, it is. They spell their gray with an A-Y. Okay. Okay, give that card a chance to dry. Set that up there. It's like unwrapping little candies. Unwrap the cadmium yellow. It's a nice, pretty color. Cadmium yellow medium. This one is the one called Golden. Hansa yellow. Gentian red. And there's the ruby. Quinacridone rose. Carmine. quinacridone lilac. There's the violet. Oh, that looks almost black in the pan. I'm trying to look at the packages and see if they give, like, what kind of pigment they used. But the words are all in Russian. Bright blue. Cobalt. Oh, that's a beautiful color. Look at that. Turquoise. Having 36 colors in a watercolor palette isn't really necessary because a lot of these intermediate colors you can make yourself using a lot of the primary colors available. But when the color's pre-mixed and already laid out there for you, it does save time. If you need to reach for a turquoise, for example, it doesn't look turquoise now. And there's the maker's mark on the underside of each pan. There's symbol and it says St. Petersburg. Manufacturer. Cerulean blue right here. There's my yellowish green. You know, I didn't anticipate that preparing this watercolor kit would be so crinkly. I have my headphones in listening to this while I record this for you, and it's pleasantly nice for me because I like crinkle noises. And I hope you do too. That is the green. Let's look a little bit. Oh, that's pretty. That's the olive green. It looks like a nice dark pistachio. It's a really pretty color. neutral black. And finally, Payne's Gray. Okay, I've got one of my pipettes, and I'm gonna drop some water and pre-wet each pan. Almost done this last row here. Yeah, a little more water to this one. An umber. Umber, and then where's brown? Okay. First I'm going to take a little bit of this white. I think I might have added a little bit too much water at first. But we'll see. These colors are definitely a little more opaque than my other set and my other palette. looks more like an orange color than golden. Not a huge difference between the golden and the golden deep. It's like a half shade off. The Hansa yellow is a very cool yellow. This very, very slight shift toward the blue. And that ruby is a pretty color. Like a jewel red. That's a very pigmented blue. It's beautiful though. Ultramarine. This violet is so intense. I would call this a dioxazine pigment, most likely. It's a really good color for making shadows without making your shadows gray. I'm trying not to bleed them into the color next to it to keep it pure. Oh, that's a really pretty color. I would love that for a lip color. That's gorgeous. English red is more of a red brown. Cadmium red light. And I'm going from right to left because I don't want to drag my wrist through wet watercolor, being that I'm painting left-handed. These are little tricks you learn as a left-handed person to navigate your way through a right-handed world. That Payne's gray is very dark. The Payne's gray and the neutral black are very close, but the Payne's gray has more of a blue tint to it. Oh, that's a gorgeous emerald green. It's a lovely color. Very jewel-like. Wow, that's an opaque color. It's got really good coverage. Alright, let's see what this Mars brown looks like. Oh, it's really pretty. It's not a whole lot of coverage though. It's not a very pigmented color. Okay, I'm starting to move to lighter colors now, so I have to make sure my brush is really, really, really clean. So I think I'm going to switch to my other brush, the one I haven't used yet. The Skoda number 8. Oh, indigo is saturated. practically covered up my letters. I would say this indigo is similar to what I would normally call a Prussian blue. Look how much more saturated the indigo is in the umber. Huge difference. But the umber looks more granulated. Oh, that's nice. Chromium oxide is a very flat color. There we go. And then last color is cobalt. Alright, now I just need to wait for this to dry completely, and then I'll paint another little bit on each swatch spot to finish off this card. Okay, my swatches are dry enough. Now it's time to put on a second layer. Starting from this corner here, I might have to add some more water to my watercolor palette still. Yes, okay. A little bit more water on that brush, alright. We'll put some in this corner part here. Sometimes it takes more than one layer to show you what the color will really look like. And you're using it for your pictures. And it gives you a clearer idea of the opacity of the colors. I don't want to flood these. I just want another layer of color. Okay. And a little more golden deep. That is much more opaque. The yellow ochre stays opaque, transparent. So that is useful information to know. Cad yellow medium. I'll bet you that gets more opaque. What do you think? Let's see what happens. Slightly. It's very nice, intense yellow. And the cadmium lemon. It's way more opaque. It practically obscures my lettering. Zinc white should be more opaque. Not quite as opaque as a gouache. That's interesting. I would have thought that another layer would have had more of an impact. Ultramarine. I can't even read the letters in this one anymore. That gets really, really, really dark. It's practically black. It's really pretty though. I love that color. Here's my quinacridone lilac. Yeah, too much water. Okay. Very nice. The Madder Lake dries much lighter. And some carmine. Okay. Quinacridone rose. Looks very similar to colors that I've seen called opera rose, which are notorious for fading over time. It's known as a fugitive color. When a color ages over time and it can't keep its hue, it fades a lot. It's what's known as fugitive. English red becomes much more opaque. And this already opaque cadmium red light olive green. Again, these Escoda brushes I'm using, the more you use them and the more broken in they get, the better they get. Some green. Try not to get my hand in paint. That's pretty. It's a nice foresty, nice dark woodsy color. bit more emerald. This one stays relatively transparent, sort of. That yellowish green it almost looks like it dries slightly darker, oddly enough. That cerulean blue, that is not a very pigmented color. Let's see if I can bump that up a little bit. No, you don't seem to get a really high pigment load in this particular color. So far from what I'm experiencing while making these swatches with the St. Petersburg White Nights watercolors is, sorry, I am noticing a slight difference in these versus my more expensive watercolors like my Sennelier and my Winsor Newton artist colors. There is a little bit of a difference in the quality and transparency and the color shift from wet to dry. Lovely. I expected this cobalt to be a little more saturated than it was. It seemed more saturated when I laid it down while it was wet. Not a huge difference. Let's lay down some Payne's gray. Right, a touch of this neutral black. That one's already pretty opaque. What is that? That is Sepia next. Third from the right, bottom row. Clean up my mess. That Mars brown looks really weak. Let's see if we can pop a little more strength into that. Give me some more. We will see what that looks like when that one dries. burnt umber. Got a little bit better. And the not burnt umber leans more toward a green than its cousin burnt umber. And I'm making a mess. I'll have to clean that up when I'm done. Then we have our two siennas, burnt and raw. Burnt sienna is more of a reddish brown. Did not add a whole lot of opacity, it just added a little bit more saturation. And then finally chromium oxide, which is already a pretty opaque color. All on its own. That's it. All right, let me give it a few minutes for this to dry, and we will see what we get. All right, that is it. That is my swatch card. And that is what these colors look on paper. Thank you very much for spending time with me tonight while I set up my watercolor swatches. Don't forget to like this video if you did and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to receive notifications of when I post new videos. And if you want to pick up a St. Petersburg White Night watercolor set for yourself, I will include a link in the description for you. Thank you very much for watching my video, and I will see you later. Good night, everyone.